What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into our very first podcast episode called Midseason Madness. This episode was recorded on Saturday morning, November 14th, so it will be out after that. Since this is our first episode, we figured we would do it in person, but most of our episodes will be conducted through Zoom. We will be making an Instagram and Twitter page, so make sure you follow us on there. And we will also have all of our episodes on YouTube for you to watch and listen to throughout your day. As for streaming platforms, we are working on that, so we will definitely update y'all when those are made available. On this week's episode, we'll give our picks on who we think are the top picks in the upcoming draft. We'll give our opinions on the latest NBA trade rumors, and then we'll dive deep into the NFL Week 10 as we move into Midseason Madness. Again, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode, and enjoy. Cue the music.
Brandon with 2 on the clock for the win. Got it! 2/10 of a second to go. Tap for the win! Got it!
Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I'm here with my friends and co-host, Taylor, Cameron.
What's up? I'm Cameron.
And I'm Parker. We're talking about a lot of things today, all over the sports world. First thing we're going to talk about is the NBA draft. A lot of controversy over who is going to be the number one pick. What do y'all think?
Honestly, you want me to give my unbiased opinion?
Go for it.
For some reason, I think it's going to be LaMelo. Just for some reason. I think just because of the hype around his name, I think just they want all the Ball family to be in the NBA, so they're gonna make sure he's drafted high. I think it's gonna be LaMelo.
I mean, I don't think there's any controversy that he's going to be drafted high with wanting the balls in the NBA. I mean, Jello's not making it into the league. I'll tell you that right now. But it would make sense for Minnesota. They need a box office player. You know, the biggest box office player they have is Karl-Anthony Towns, and he's not a flashy. He's not a three-point specialist, flashy playmaker, flashy personality, flashy playmaker, or somebody that lives above the rim. He's a little bit more of like an athletic Tim Duncan. He's nowhere near as good as Tim Duncan, but he's not going to draw.
You talk about LaMelo?
No, I'm talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. He's not going to sell out seats. He's not going to sell out arenas, and that's what LaMelo brings. And I mean, you have to look at that.
I personally don't think Minnesota will be picking at one. I think Minnesota is going to trade out of there. I don't know who exactly will get in there. I mean, New York's sitting at 8. That's a big possibility. They trade up to there and get there because, in my opinion, you already have your franchise point guard. If you're Minnesota, you have
D'Angelo Russell,
who is experienced. LaMelo has experience playing at a high level, but can he do it at the NBA level is a real question.
I mean, that's a good point. But here's the thing. The Knicks are just like, I'll be honest with you, the Knicks are so bad. If you're the Timberwolves, do they have anybody that is worth moving down 7 spots?
No.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point.
Honestly, their best player is...
Well, you got to remember, I'm looking at it right now. They have the 27th pick and the 8th pick. You package that together with, say, Chalmette, Mitchell Robinson. I mean, I don't know. That might be tempting. Or you throw in maybe Alonzo Trier maybe in there somewhere.
Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, Frank maybe. That's a decent packaging. But you are correct. For the number 1 overall pick, that's a pretty big upgrade there.
But
it is, correct.
But is Minnesota really going to value Mitchell Robinson that high just to come off the bench?
No.
Because
you can play Cat at the
Look,
I don't think Cat can play at the 4.
I'll tell you this.
He's done it before.
Oh, I didn't know.
I'll tell you this. Mitch is probably one of the best rebounding centers in the league, no doubt. No doubt in my mind, he's one of the best rebounding centers in the league. But he's not a scorer. He's only had, I think, his highest points per game season is 8. And he's been in the league 3 years.
I mean, he's a tall rebounder. He's a DeAndre Jordan type.
Do you want to risk trading for Mitch?
I mean, I wouldn't. If I'm Minnesota, I look at a trade with Detroit. Maybe try and get Blake Griffin.
That's a good.
And nobody's really talking about it, but you know that Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell are in the Timberwolves' ears trying to get Devin Booker on that team.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard a lot of rumors about that too. I think the biggest thing though is Minnesota. I think when you told me 2 months ago they were the number 1 pick, I thought instantly it was a lock for Anthony Edwards.
I did too.
Apparently, rumors are his
Pro Day was terrible.
Pro Day was awful. Apparently, everyone who came was really disappointed. It was on ESPN. I didn't watch it, but
I didn't watch it either.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting too. You got to look at. I know we talked about number one, but number two is Golden State. Where do you think they go with that direction?
I think if Golden State stays, I think it's James Wiseman. I think that's a lot.
I agree.
But if they move out of it, which I personally think there's a very good chance. I would bet a lot of money that the number 1 and number 2 pick are not the same as they are right now as they are on draft night.
Yeah, I agree.
One of those two are going to change. And it just depends on who. Golden State's in such a good spot with the number 2 pick, and the only reason they had that is because 2 of the best players in the NBA were hurt.
They just need to build some depth. They have a ridiculous
definitely.
starting five.
I agree.
Their bench is just terrible, but their starting five's great.
Do you think there's a chance that they go for Anthony and they move Klay to the 3? Because Klay's
I don't see that being a possibility. I think it's already come out that they're going to trade back. The only player I think they go after would be James Wiseman. That's the only person I could see. Because you imagine a starting 5 of Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Green, and Wiseman. That's a pretty strong 5. And then you already know they're going to attract your high-end free agents that are going to take
just like they did with
that
KD.
Minimum deal. Well, no, like David West, people
Andre
like
Iguodala.
that, people like that, exactly.
But
who knows? Could see him go back there one day, maybe. You never know. For
here's the thing with James Wiseman though. He's if a year ago when he came out of high school, he was a lock for the number 1 pick. Nobody was touching him, and then this whole thing happened where Hardaway helped him move, and he gets disqualified.
Yeah.
Do you risk drafting a kid who played 1 college game? And he did well in his 1 college game, but he didn't blow anybody away. We know he can. It's kind of like a Michael Porter Jr. type.
Well, you got to play devil's advocate with that. LaMelo hasn't played a college game either. Now, granted, he's played a lot of pro ball.
Yeah, but when you have that raw of talent, do you take that risk?
In James Wiseman's defense, the last player to have that much raw talent and only play 1 college game was Kyrie Irving, and we all see how that worked out.
Right.
He's an idiot, but yeah.
He's an idiot, but what do? Do you risk it with a pick that high, or do you
Especially
go
for a center too? He
can play the 4 or the 5.
No,
he's a true center.
five.
He's a true center. You're right.
7'1".
He's got to be 7 foot tall.
He's 7'1". I just
See,
looked it up.
that's what I would love.
Looked it up, 7'1".
Important for y'all to know, listening, we're all from Louisiana, born, raised, never lived anywhere else.
If you can't tell from my attire.
Yeah. And so we're really interested because there's a ton of rumors about the Pelicans trading. And if the Pelicans do trade Drew Holiday, to go that high, I want Wiseman. I don't think Anthony
You got to
Edwards.
pair him next to Zion?
Yeah, but here's the thing: we need another man in the backcourt who could really shoot
If they get rid of Drew.
which it looks like they are. They're obviously having some high intense talks with.
Or do you move if you don't go that route? Which I agree with what you're saying. Do you put JJ in the starting lineup, or are you?
Well, you have to. Hold on. So hold on. If you don't get another shooter, either in the draft or in the trade, you have to put JJ in there, and then you go after Wiseman.
Here's the thing. Taylor, I know you're really high on him. Do you think Walker can play the 2?
Kemba Walker?
Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Oh.
No,
I think he still has a lot to prove. He obviously balled out, which we all saw in the Summer League last year, but really disappointing in the regular season. Didn't show us a lot at all. I think he might have averaged 3 or 4 points a game, if that. He also didn't, to play devil's advocate, he didn't get a lot of playing time. Gentry kind of glued his ass to the end of the bench.
But look how
all he does is. But here's the thing: he's not a facilitator.
It was
he's a
so
scorer.
bad.
My thing is this: the rumor is, and I was reading on it before we started, is we could see a potential trade where Boston trades all of their picks. They trade, their first round picks, which is 14, 26, and 30. They trade us all 3 of those for Drew Holiday, and they were saying maybe throwing a kicker like Melly and our 13 pick to get all 3 of those picks. What's y'all's opinion on that?
This draft is not loaded enough to give up a player like Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is one of the most underrated players in the league. If Drew Holiday's on a big name team, let's say Drew Holiday does what he does for the Pelicans every year. For the Lakers, he's an all-star every single year.
The other thing, I don't mean to cut you off. The other thing we need to look at, I agree with what you're saying, is we have, I believe it's 4 third-round picks. We pick at 39, 42, and 60.
Yeah, we have 3.
So, and obviously 60, probably not a whole lot going on there.
Get
But
Isaiah Thomas.
39, that's a nice little pick. A lot of people are saying, what's the guy from North Carolina? Point guard.
I was about to say J. Cole. Cole Anthony.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Cole Anthony could slip into that first round. So, hypothetically speaking, say we do hold on to Lonzo Ball, I see him being a great piece coming off the bench, which I don't know. Going back to talking about Nikhil, I don't know if I see Nikhil fitting in with this team. I don't know if we've seen enough out of him yet. I know he can score the ball. We've definitely seen that, but I don't know if he can play every facet of the game.
It's not on a consistent level at all. It is not.
No, and the thing about this is, if I was the GM of the Pelicans and I could do whatever I wanted, I've told y'all this, I would trade Drew for Minnesota's pick. I don't know what Minnesota's going to do, who's going to trade up there. Or Golden State's pick, and I would draft Wiseman, and then at 13, I would take a big risk for R.J. Hampton. R.J. Hampton.
I don't think he'll be there. You think he'll be there?
Yes.
R.J. Hampton's predicted in like the 20s almost in some mock
will
drafts.
be there.
Yeah,
What's the reason he dropped off?
because he didn't do anything overseas.
Oh, well, his numbers weren't good.
His numbers weren't great overseas, but the thing is, like, he was unreal. Was he the number one player in the country? He was top. I know
he was top 5.
top 5 players in the country. I mean, like, talk about a certified bucket. Like, this kid could score inside out.
It looks like, I'm looking at his numbers, he averaged 20.6 minutes a game. He only played in 15 games, so I'm
Exactly.
maybe he was hurt. I don't know. He shot 40%. He didn't shoot the 3 very well. He shot 29%. Let's see here. He shot 46% from the field. Points per game, 8 points a game on 20 minutes. I mean, that's not bad, but he was playing against grown men also. Now, comparing him to LaMelo, I don't know what LaMelo was getting, but I'm about to look it up.
And honestly, I'm a little biased here because I'm an Auburn fan, but you want to play a plug-in player that's going to play just like Drew Holiday? Go after. Don't trade that high. Maybe just give Drew and try and get another piece for maybe like the 6th or 7th pick. Go after Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, but when you talk about playing time, he didn't play a lot either.
Isaac Okoro, yeah, he was hurt.
That's what I'm saying. So,
But he was one of the best. I mean, he's an inside-out player. He can score the ball, but he's not an unreal scorer.
so
But
LaMelo only played, which I did not know this either. LaMelo only played in 12 games.
yeah, LaMelo didn't play at all. Like barely played.
He got hurt also, right? He had a
Yeah,
wrist injury.
he had a
or
wrist
something.
injury.
Yeah, when he was in, he played 31 minutes a game. And let's see, he shot the 3 ball terribly, 25%.
Which I don't understand. Coming out of high school, all the talk when you kept up with the Ball brothers,
17 points a
it was
game.
all about how LaMelo was such a wet ball, how he was such a scorer, how he could score the ball from outside so well that you see all those highlights of him hitting from ridiculously deep, like that one game in high school where he points at the like the half court line and drains it. I mean, granted, his jump shot is broken.
No, I think a lot of that is for the highlight tape, though. I think
Yeah,
when
I
you go look
agree.
at his stats, I don't know if he's as good of a shooter. And you talk bad about LiAngelo Ball, but I think LiAngelo is probably, we could agree, the best shooter out of the 3.
I think so, and that says a lot.
But I mean, I
But
think
I think
that
you're-
might be all he could do.
I think
is
you're right.
shoot the
I think you're
ball.
right about the highlight tape. I mean, I've had a half court game. I've had a half court shot in a rec game before, and I averaged 1 point every 2 games. But getting back to Isaac Okoro, I mean, he's very similar to Drew Holiday. I mean, you can put him into the 2. He'd be a bit of an oversized shooting guard, but I mean, he's going to lock up anybody you want.
I just haven't seen
Correct.
enough out of him. I'll be completely honest. I don't know enough about him.
Obviously, someone who's an Auburn fan who's watched all his games. I mean, he's just like, I've seen him lock down everybody who he put him up against. He played against Tyrese Maxey for Kentucky. I mean, he shut him down. I mean,
I think he's overrated. The Pelicans are looking at him at 13 apparently, which I wasn't too happy about.
So here's the thing: if the Pels lock up a top 5 pick with a trade with Drew Holiday, do you go?
So that would, just hypothetically speaking, that would mean we trade with Chicago, Charlotte, or Golden State, really.
Correct.
or Minnesota.
I mean, you think we could get it?
If it's a
You think we could get in at 1? I don't see that happening.
if it's a 3-team trade.
Yeah, there was a 3-team trade going on with the Hawks for the what, 7th or 6th?
I hate that. Here's my thing. Speaking about, let's get into more about the trades for Drew Holiday. This Celtics trade, I don't understand the Kemba trade at all. Obviously, Kemba is unreal. Cardiac
what
Kemba.
happened?
I don't
What are you talking
understand.
about?
Well, there's a trade rumor going on right now that we could swap Kemba and Drew Holiday.
Like straight up.
And no, it wouldn't be straight up. It would be for we would include our draft pick. They would include a couple of their first round draft picks, and we throw in Melly for the cap space.
But
Kemba's at like $32 million a year, something ridiculous.
I'm not even worried about the
What's Drew,
contract.
20 I am 32.
No, what I'm
million a year?
saying, that's not why I don't understand
Yeah,
the
we
trade.
wouldn't be able to sign our first round pick.
The reason
No, you can do
the
that.
reason I don't understand the trade is they play two different positions. What do you do? So you have Lonzo come off the bench.
So you'd have to trade Lonzo at that point. He'd be too valuable at that point to have a player come off the bench.
Yeah, and then here's the thing: you're all about centering this team. You can say whatever you want. This is Zion's team.
Oh yeah.
he is the future. As much as they try and nurse him
But I would
and
disagree.
baby
I'd
him,
say it's BI's team.
yes, it's Bi's team. You know what, you're right about that. But
No,
at the end
okay,
of,
I
at
get
the-
what you're saying.
At the end of the
that
day,
it's-
the Pelicans want in the Pelicans' dream world, they win a championship revolving around Zion.
correct.
Obviously, they want to win a championship, but in the perfect world, they want it to revolve around Zion. And so, a player like Kimba is
Yet they
not.
sit him on the bench the whole game.
Yeah, I know. Don't get me started on that. But a player like Kimba is not going to play well with Zion. A player like Kimba is a score first point guard, and the Pelicans need a pass first point guard. We have Zion, who's going to be able to score, driving to the lane, absorbing contact, and we have Bi, who's going to be able to do the same thing and hit the three ball. We need shooters, and we need Lonzo at the
Now, you
point,
see-
or another pass first point guard.
Now you see, hold up. I'm not gonna lie. I know who's Van Gundy is. I know him like he's an okay coach,
Defensive minded.
defensive minded.
Which
But we don't have Alvin anymore, and Alvin was always about that fast paced, up tempo offense.
Yep.
What is Van Gundy going to bring? Is the question.
Well, I mean,
Because if we're not running that up tempo thing, do we really need Lonzo?
I don't think Lonzo's mainly for the up tempo. I think Lonzo is really just like.
no, I would
Yeah, but his
I
passing
disagree.
IQ is out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna sound stupid, but like Taylor and I play 2K together, and he's a pass for guard, and I'm just like a scorer. And like, if I play by myself, I can't play. Like, these guys don't pass me the ball at the right time, things like that. I feel like it's the same with Lonzo and Zion. Like, you've seen how quickly their chemistry grew, and that's only gonna get better.
Boy, they only played maybe 20 games together.
20 games together, and
Exactly.
it seems like they played 10 seasons together.
And you're right.
Lonzo's he's not an all-star or anything, but he's one of the best passers in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree if Lonzo could. I mean, I think last year he shot somewhere in the lower end 30% as far as his three-pointer goes. If he can get that ball up to close to the 40%, I mean, he'd be a potential all-star. That's just how it
Absolutely.
is. He's averaging close to 8 or 9 assists
Yeah,
a
no
game.
doubt.
But he has. It's all about consistency in the NBA, in my opinion. I mean, he has games where we've seen it in person. He goes quiet and he's kind of out there, and then he's getting subbed out for a guy who shouldn't even be playing the one, which is Drew. Drew's supposed to be at the 2, but Drew will take his spot and JJ will come in. But a lot of interesting stuff revolving around the team right now. I don't know. It's kind of like what Cameron said. I don't know what Van Gundy's going to bring. I mean, whenever I think of Stan Van Gundy, I think about his days in Orlando with Dwight,
too.
and that was just kind of a real half-court offense. Wasn't Jameer Nelson was their point guard?
I mean, their best player was Dwight.
Yeah, a great
Yeah,
player back in the day.
Granted,
Yeah, of course,
granted,
he
Dwight
is.
Howard was arguably LeBron was probably the best, but probably third best player in the league behind
was
LeBron and Kobe.
2009, correct?
No, this
It was
earlier
before
than
that.
This is in like 05?
Yeah,
This is a long time ago.
I mean, people like think about Dwight as kind of this wash player, joined the Lakers, didn't really do anything, got dunked on by Kobe, but Dwight Howard was an absolute animal. He was all pro every single year. He was getting MVP votes every single year. Like, he was an absolute animal. Like, if Dwight Howard was Dwight Howard today, then like Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, they couldn't hold his jockstrap.
He was there from 2004 to 2011.
But the problem with that is people like Dwight Howard don't succeed in the NBA anymore, like they used to. You almost, no matter what your position is, talking about like with Lonzo,
He was averaging 20 and 13 or 14 every year for a solid 4 or 5 years.
But the thing is, like, unless you were an absolute physical freak, like Shaq would obviously dominate any decade. But like a player like Dwight Howard, it's gotten to the point in 2020 in this NBA season where no matter what position you play, you have to be at least able to shoot the three ball.
Right.
You have to have at least enough of a shot to where if you're open, you can take it.
Yeah, definitely.
And Dwight Howard can't do that.
And that's why you see Mitch, like he comes to the Val Reese complex and he's taking threes almost every day.
Yeah, he needs to work on a lot of his offense.
Yeah, but like players like
Cameron, you need to remember he's also on the worst team of the decade. I mean,
Yeah.
or we should say organization.
the organization. I'm about to say, I'd give that old Charlotte Hornets team the worst
I
team.
saw
of the
that
decade.
meme again the other day of it had a picture of KD, Kyrie, and Zion all in Knicks jerseys, and then
Oh
it
my
said
God.
reality, and it had KD and Kyrie on the Nets,
Nets
and
and
then
Zion
Zion
on
on
the
the Pels.
But no, you look at like a player like DeAndre Jordan, who like was a monster, who was an All Pro or at least an All Star in L.A.
On the bench.
And then now he's like he was coming off the bench in Brooklyn behind Jared Allen. And then you look at a player like Blake Griffin, who lived above the rim. That's all he did. And now he's completely changed his game. And the only reason he's still succeeding is because he was able to change and adapt his game to
Right.
be able to hit that three ball.
Correct.
Blake's not a bad 3-point shooter.
So I know we've talked
No,
about all
no.
the trades we're kind of against as far as the Pels go. Are there any situations or stuff you've seen online that you like where you're like, okay, because it seems like it's come out, Griffin's come out, we are searching to shop him. Anybody you've seen that you're like, okay, I could be cool with that, or I like that trade.
Tyler Hero.
Okay, so the Miami trade. Who
really-
all would you like to package with it?
Um,
Do you give up our pick, Andrew, or no?
no, just
Okay.
because Tyler's unproven. He's proved. Well, he's not unproven,
I
but
disagree.
he's not unproven, but he's had one season. And Drew's an all-star.
One time, but I do
One
agree.
time.
Drew is an all-star. Okay, hold on.
He's an all-star
I agree,
player.
I agree.
He's an
I was
all-star
gonna say-
The
player.
past 3 years, he's averaged over 19.7 points
Yeah,
per game.
it just depends on where you play. Look at Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal averaged like 32, 33 points a game
look
and
at the
wasn't an
team-
all-star.
Look at the team.
And just because he was in Washington.
Look at the team that Drew's on. I'm not saying we're bad, but we're always plagued with injuries. Always.
Every year.
Every year.
Every
We have the
single
worst.
year.
I think the last
we
10
get,
years.
We get the. What's that year when the Magic got the first round pick?
Honestly,
The Magic Ball or whatever? The Magic Ball year?
I don't
God,
know.
I can't remember.
honestly,
Are you
one of
talking
the
about way back in the day when they got Shaq?
When they got Shaq.
Oh, that was 1997.
No, I'm saying
96?
we were not supposed to get that number one pick, and we got it. And
Yeah,
what
that
happens-
brings in some controversy. Though. I mean, you mean to tell me our star player thinks he's going to leave, and all of a sudden we get the magic number one ball?
I know,
What was it,
that-
3 point
it-
something.
it
for
is
you
the
think it was
Suns?
rigged?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely some eyebrows that get raised when, but I don't know.
I think honestly one of the best hirings the Pelicans, and we haven't seen like it's the good come out of it yet, but one of the best hirings we've had in a really long time is hiring that training staff from Phoenix.
I haven't seen the production there yet.
I haven't seen the production
we
yet,
were
but
plagued
you know
with
what?
injury
They
last year.
they are so proven being able to extend the careers of guys like Amari Stoudemire and things like that.
I don't know, man.
But-
We were plagued last year to
Yeah.
begin the year. Brandon Ingram goes down. Zion goes down. Lonzo missed some games.
Zion
Drew Holiday missed a lot.
I don't
of
think,
games.
if you want my honest opinion, I don't think Zion's knee was okay even in the bubble. You look at that summer league game.
Oh, no, I don't
Not
disagree.
summer league. You look at that preseason game against the Hawks where he rose up, cocked it back, and dunked it. You cannot tell me one other time where he actually rised up that high. You look at his highlights in college; he was jumping so much higher.
I just sometimes we could talk about what y'all's opinion of him was in his first year. Obviously, small sample size, but I was trying to use the correct vocabulary. I was kind of under impressed with him. I think I was expecting a lot more out of him, especially when it came to the rebounding of the basketball. It seems like I don't know if it's just being a rook and maybe not going for every ball, but a lot of times it seems like I wanted him to be that point forward, basically. I wanted him
Right.
to jump up, snag that rebound, and we're on that fast break Alvin Gentry offense. And a lot of times it was more of he's doing that loafing around like he likes to do and getting back. I don't know if it was like you said, he's been hurt this whole time and he was playing through it. We don't know because they kept it so goddamn quiet.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know, but I don't know. My opinion was I was a little under.
I'll put it this way: I don't mean to harp on it because I don't think it's the biggest issue, but I mean he was a little bit overweight. I mean, y'all remember that picture that came out of him in the mask right before they were supposed to go to the bubble?
Yep.
He did not look like that. That was just a good angle. I mean, we saw him in the bubble. Zion comes out next season. He looks like that.
Also a long sleeve shirt he was in.
It was a no sleeve.
No, it was a no sleeve.
It was
Oh,
a
it was?
tank top. It
I
was
was
a
thinking
tank
of a
top.
different picture.
No,
That
it was a
was
tank top when he had the mask on. He comes out next season. He looks like that. He's an all-star. But I mean, he's a big dude. I mean, obviously he's not gonna get to like a BI weight or something like that. But I mean, look at like I don't like talking about him, but like look at LeBron. Like this is your job now. You want to stay in this league for this long. You're gonna have to take care of your body. LeBron spends $1 million a year on his body. Obviously, Zion's not rolling like that yet.
A lot of people are taking that route too. I saw Russell Wilson
Hold
was
on.
doing that.
Hold on. Speaking of that, did y'all see what BR posted about Russell Wilson taking a page out of LeBron's book of spending
Yeah, that's what I was
$1
saying.
million?
Yeah.
$1 million a year on his body.
I was like, are you kidding
They
me?
said he has his own. What is it? The hyperbolic chamber. or
I
whatever it's
guarantee
called. Yeah.
we don't know how much he spends. I guarantee Tom Brady spends more.
Oh yeah, he's never talked about that. But yeah,
I guarantee Tom Brady's treat for himself.
imagine Drew Brees is spending a hefty
well, I mean,
amount too.
when you're playing football for what
43 years,
over 20 years.
Yeah, he's 43 years old. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So over 20 years.
His treat to himself is
I
a
agree.
spoonful of avocado ice cream once a week.
Oh yeah, his diet's got to be ridiculous.
I mean, okay, like
and then you see who he's sleeping in bed with every night. Okay,
yeah.
he's got a healthy diet, gentlemen.
But no, Zion needs to
You
realize
must feel bad when you're the lower breadwinner of that family. Wow,
who makes less.
she makes more.
Wow,
You
really?
know, I think in career wise, but probably when you add in his endorsements, he might make more. But
Oh.
thought it was funny.
Kind of shows
I mean,
the two.
the dude's sponsored by Aston Martin, so I don't
Okay,
know.
well, Drew
He
Brees
is.
is sponsored by Jimmy John's.
Drew owns Jimmy John's. Hey, we're getting off topic here.
Anyway, sorry. But no, back to Zion. We're talking about food. Back to Zion. I mean,
He does like to eat.
He does like to eat. He gotta realize that this is his job. I'm not expecting him to come out and look like Lonzo Ball, look like Drew Holiday. You're gonna be a big guy, but like you are plenty muscular.
And that's the thing with the Pelicans that I don't understand. From the time the bubble even, or we could even go further back, from the time he got hurt in like October, what it is, there was no transparency as to what was going on.
They kept everything hushed.
And they've done that for the last 2 years. I don't know if it's ownership or GM or what it is. Everything has been hushed. There's no transparency. And as a fan, that's all we wanted. We want to know when Zion coming back, or what is it that's wrong. And the whole time they kept saying it was supposed to be like an 8-week injury, and he kept pushing it back, kept pushing it back, kept pushing it back. And then when he does finally get out there, he's on a minute restriction.
We lose the game because of that minute restriction.
Gosh, it was minute restrictions every single game.
We know against the Spurs.
It was so aggravating.
It was aggravating, but I mean, like I said, there was no transparency there, and there's never been. It feels like in the last few years, transparency with the organization. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind closed doors that we don't understand. Like with what's going on now with Drew. 2 months ago, Drew Holiday was our guy. This is his team. And now you got Dave saying, "Dude, we're going to shop him around."
I was so shook when I saw that. I was like,
I wasn't.
Okay, I wasn't shocked, but after what they just said, I was like, okay, so what is the real reason now?
Yeah,
because
it's because he's old. That's all it is. If Drew's,
you need,
what is he, 32?
Yeah,
but he's hold on. With the amount of guys that you have, young guys that you have on this team, you need an old head. You need somebody who has that wisdom.
But this is. I'll play devil's advocate and kind of try and defend the Pelicans here. I guess their logic is, okay, we're building something and we think we're building something special, but we don't think that we're going to be a championship contender while Drew's still in his prime.
Do you think it has something to do with Van Gundy? Because it certainly seems like right when Van Gundy gets in there, we start hearing these rumors. Does that have something to do with he doesn't fit that system? I don't know.
Here's the thing. Drew's arguably, can we give Drew best defensive shooting guard in the league?
Klay Thompson and then Drew.
Stan Van Gundy's a defense first coach. It seems like Drew Holiday would be his favorite player on the team. Real quick, we're gonna take a break, guys. We're gonna be right back. Talk about the NFL season, college football, maybe the Heisman midseason awards, and then we'll wrap it up. See you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna wrap up talking about the draft. I guess gonna go around, say one name you would want the Pelicans to pick at 13 if we do stay at 13.
I mean, I would say R.J. Hampton.
Yeah, I definitely agree. R.J. Hampton, definitely somebody who I think will be there at 13 for one. And I think also something we didn't talk about earlier, I think if and when Drew Holiday does get traded, we're going to need a two because I agree with what you were saying earlier. JJ is, I think at that time now he's going to be more effective coming off the bench. I don't necessarily know if he can come in there and give you 28, 30 minutes a game. So I think RJ maybe being a first-year rookie could slide in there and start, unless we get Tyler Hero. Then we'll go ahead and slide in.
Tyler Hero.
Love
game changes.
Tyler Hero.
Yeah, I'd like, even though you didn't know how to say his name a couple months ago.
Get Jack Harlow down in New Orleans.
Yeah, remember when I was saying Zion?
You could make a new. They could.
Zion,
him and Zoe could collab.
And then looking at the second round, guys like Cassius Stanley, Trey Jones, people like that. Cassius Stanley, a real high flyer, another box office guy. He's kind of was kind of big in high school and kind of flamed out. Haven't heard much from him. But I mean, kid's still a big above the rim player. That seems to be what the Pelicans are trying to go for, building their franchise around someone like Zion. And, if we do keep Lonzo, a guy like Cassius Stanley would really thrive with someone to be able to get him those lobs, get him that ball in transition to where he can go up and attack the rim.
My big guy to watch out for in the second round is Cassius Winston out of Michigan State. And me and Cameron were talking about it earlier, being LSU fans. We know he broke our hearts a few years ago in the NCAA tournament. Kid's just a proven winner. I mean, playing for one of the greatest coaches ever at Michigan State. So that's one guy to watch out for, in my opinion.
Most definitely.
All right, you want to kind of talk about maybe Week 10 NFL?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Move on to that. Do you want to pull up the schedule?
Yeah. Let's talk about the first game on the slate. The first game that's coming up, I guess first thing we can talk about is the Saints and 49ers. No, it's not the first game, but it's the game that we're going to be paying the most attention to.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a revenge game for two of our guys. Quan Alexander's very first game is going to be against the team that traded him.
Any projection if he's actually playing? Or
yeah, he's supposed to play.
He's limited, I assume.
Yeah, he'll probably be limited.
But he's still going to ball out with the minutes that he has.
I think.
I think they'll probably only get him maybe 10 snaps, 15 snaps. But
Yeah, but and then Emmanuel Sanders, a guy who has just gotten better and better and better as the season has gone on.
Yeah.
The
COVID though.
And then
The 49ers are so injury plagued right now. I mean,
yeah, they have
I
Nick.
know.
They have Nick.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to lose to.
But these are the type. The Saints have a problem as of their last few years to playing down to their competition. If they're watching 2 weeks when they play the Falcons, it'll be a close game just because it's the Falcons.
But it's always.
I
with the
agree.
Falcons.
I agree.
Always.
But the thing is, Jimmy Garoppolo's still out, right?
Yeah, Jimmy
Correct.
G's out. Nick Mullins is their
Nick
starter.
Mullins is out, and
And-
I heard
and
Nick
Bosa.
Mullins is starter.
Nick Mullins is starting. Yes,
Nick Bosa's out too.
He's
is he
out for
not?
the year.
Yeah.
I think he tore his ACL.
And speaking about Jimmy Garoppolo, a thing I saw, I forget who it was talking about him. He said that Jimmy's in a bad position because he's so injury prone, but he doesn't have the wow factor. And a quarterback like that, he said, a quarterback like Carson Wentz, while he's had a down year this year, he has a wow factor. You see Carson Wentz when he's at full strength, and he's got that cannon of an arm. He can make things happen. Like, he can make magic happen. And Jimmy just can't do that.
Correct.
So, going back to the Saints here, do you think the Saints can have another week of hot flying offense where they were just clicking on all cylinders, or you think maybe we take a step back this week?
It depends. Do the Saints get cocky and let up, or do they ride that hot wave? A couple years ago, the year of the no call, we were like this every week. We were blowing people out left and right and celebrating every game, in game. We just had that swag. And I think that's why I think this game, I told Taylor before that Buccaneers game happened, we need a game where Jameis gets in, where we blow out a team that so bad.
They didn't let him pass the ball once.
He threw it once.
Did he?
Yeah, a little screen pass. I think it was going to be against the Buccaneers? Absolutely not. I thought that was going to be a close game. I thought we maybe win by a field goal. But that game, I really think got us our swag back. You saw the videos of us dancing in the locker room. You saw things we haven't seen since 2018.
It was good. They broke out the brooms and swept Tom Brady's ass
They
on
swept
that.
Tom Brady's ass.
Felt good.
And, people like Marcus Williams, who's been struggling all year, had a great game. Marcus Williams, if this is the first year he's played Tom Brady, he's never played a game without picking off Tom Brady. Tom Brady, and here's the thing: the Saints can drop two more. The Saints can drop 2 more games, and the Bucs have to win out to take the division. So this game was
with the extended playoffs, though, there is still a good possibility we see them again. Though
we'll probably still see them again, but this home field's huge.
I really disagree. I don't think it's very huge with there being no
honestly,
fans.
that's a good point.
It really
but still,
hasn't mattered
to take that division. But everyone they still want to take the division. Tom, first year back in, he wants to take that division, and the fact that he has to win out now, and the Saints can drop 2 more because the Bucs aren't going to win out.
So as far as this week's game goes, kind of getting off topic here, I assume it's Saints.
Yeah, I say Saints by 10.
Saints by 10. What you got? I'm gonna say Saints by 2 touchdowns.
With the 49ers?
Yeah,
with the
I'm gonna say
49ers.
Saints by 14.
I'm going to say by 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, honestly. I think, like you said, we got our swagger back. If the defense keeps playing like they do, if we just keep performing the way we have been performing.
Here's the thing. I don't think the Saints play like they did last week every single night, because if they do, every other team in the NFL can pack it up and go home.
Yeah, another big thing to watch out for, which I've heard a lot this week, is everybody's talked about Alex Anzalone. If you've watched the last 3 weeks, and I think they're kind of preparing for Quan Alexander to come into that role, is his snaps every game have gone down. He played his career low snaps last week, and we dominated the whole game. So,
Poor guy.
I like him. He
Me too. I met him on an airplane.
But I don't know how well he fits into this defense. It seems like they almost do better playing the five or six
You talking
DBs
about
in there.
Quan?
No, talking about
Alex
taking
Anzalone.
Anzalone
okay,
out.
I got you. I thought you were saying Quan's not going to fit into.
No, I think
No,
Quan will
Quan
fit in
will
nicely
fit.
because he covers the pass a lot better, and that's what we really struggle with.
Correct.
'Cause
Demario has-
Davis is a beast, but I don't necessarily know if he's the best pass cover guy. He's more of a run stopper.
Right.
And you got to look at the fact that Marshawn. Who do they really? They don't really have anybody. Is Deebo Samuel? Is he healthy or is he hurt?
He's healthy.
He's healthy. He'll probably get a couple catches, probably on Marshawn, because Marshawn only likes to play great against Mike Evans and Julio Jones.
Yeah,
But
they're depleted everywhere though. And they're down to Jerick McKinnon at running back, and so they're pretty
Yeah.
depleted. So
That's
it's a game that
moving
honestly,
on to the next game. Who we
That's
got next?
also something that needs to get fixed too.
the
So-
next game is the Texans and the Browns.
So hold on, before we head to that, I do have to say something about Marshawn. Marshawn needs to get his head out his ass when he's playing.
We could talk about him for a whole segment.
I'm a big Marshawn Lattimore fan.
He needs to get his head out
Bum.
his ass when we're playing against other competitors besides the Falcons and the Bucks.
Thank you.
Like it's getting to the point where it's really obvious that He doesn't care. It's because the media blows. Ever since that first game that
He shut Mike Evans out.
shut down Mike Evans, the media pushed it everywhere, and it's gotten to his head to where like, okay, I got to play like that every time I play him. But then when we play somebody else and he does terrible, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get burnt
If-
by
if-
guys who are bench players, but he's
Exactly.
going to guard one of the best receivers.
If he keeps
He shuts down Julio Jones, which some would say is the best receiver.
Yeah, but
in the
I've
NFL.
said this argument with you as far as Julio. They've only played each other 2 times. Either he's been hurt, and Julio's been
Correct.
hurt so much that they haven't matched up against each other enough.
That's a good point.
For
But
you
if-
to make that argument.
if he plays with that mentality every single time, every single game, we'd won 3 Super Bowls by now, probably.
That's
I don't
a
know
little
about
bit.
that. All right,
Okay, it's
all
a
right.
joke.
We're getting off
It's a
topic.
joke.
We're getting off topic.
It's a joke. It's a joke. But you get my point.
Yeah, the
No, I
next
agree.
game is the Texans and the Browns.
Okay.
I'll actually take the Browns by 7.
I'm gonna take the Browns.
Is
by
that
a field
home or away?
This is in Cleveland.
I'm
in
gonna take,
Cleveland?
I'm gonna take the Browns by 3.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take the Browns by a field goal on that. That's pretty close. What's spread on it? Does it say?
It doesn't say what the spread
Doesn't
is.
I mean, they're both pretty bad defense.
In my opinion, Baker Mayfield is not the answer in Cleveland. We all know he was the savior for a year or 2 there. He got him a couple wins.
yeah,
here
he
and
finally
there.
got them.
I just don't know if he's going to be a big time NFL quarterback. I just haven't seen enough out of him. He's way too inconsistent. Some games he'll go out. Was it 2 weeks ago? He went out and lit him up the second half. I think he scored 4 or 5 touchdowns. First half, he was terrible. He looked like a just absolute bum.
Again, consistent.
It is -4 Cleveland.
-4. Yeah, I mean, I'll take that spread on that.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Next game is Washington at Detroit.
The Washington football team?
The Washington football team. I will never pick the Washington football team until they get a name. So I'm picking Detroit.
I will also side with you there.
Hold on. I agree with you not wanting to pick Washington, but Stafford's out.
Is he?
I'm pretty sure he
TJ
is.
Hawk is also questionable. I know
If both
Kenny-
of them are out,
Kenny
then I'll take
Galladay
the
is
football
I'm
out.
team.
pretty
Then
sure
I'll
the
take-
last report I've seen, Stafford.
I'm going to
is
go
out.
ahead and take the Detroit Lions because I just don't trust the
If
quarterback
Stafford's-
position at
Alex
Washington.
Smith.
And that's no offense to Mr. Alex Smith because you are a legend in my eyes, but I just don't know if I trust their quarterback
No.
system there. Although Terry McLaurin, absolute monster this year.
Next one, that's an easy one. Jacksonville or Green Bay. Green Bay's going to light them up.
Jacksonville-
Yeah, Well, then again,
Green
if
Bay's gonna destroy
Gardner
them.
was healthy, this is a competitive game. But Gardner being out, I couldn't even name you the backup quarterback for them.
Me neither.
Anybody? No. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and take Green Bay big in that one. Devontae Adams, ever since he's come back from
Foles
injury,
back up to guard.
I'm gonna
has
s-
been
I'm gonna skip-
lighting him up the league.
I'm going to skip some boring games.
Wait,
so we
real
don't do
quick
all of
before we
them.
continue, just small question here. Who right now this season is the best receiver in the NFL? I make a strong argument for Devontae Adams right now.
I'd say Devontae Adams or DK
Devontae
Metcalf.
Adams, yeah.
Ooh, DK's in that
DK
conversation right now.
will end up being the best receiver in the NFL. DK,
You
I
think?
think DK single-handedly is going to bring
Dude,
back
that
the
dude's
goal line
not
fade.
human. That dude is not a
The goal line fade has the goal line fade. This is Pat McAfee talked about this. The goal line fade is about how the curveball, damn thing won't curve. Goal line fade. He said the damn thing won't score a fucking touchdown. And the goal line fade. Tampa's like one of the only teams that does it because they have Mike Evans. But I mean, DK Metcalf is Mike Evans, but better.
It seems like
better.
I haven't watched a ton of their games. I watched a good bit of them. It seems like most of his touchdowns are on deep balls. He's beating people down the field and just making
Well, he runs like a 4.4.
monster catches. Yeah, I know.
And
I watched
I mean-
a video on his diet the other day. It's crazy.
I mean, the dude is tall. He's borderline the tallest receiver in the NFL.
What,
One of
he's
the
6'6"?
He's like 6'6".
Yeah.
I'd put a bet that he's probably the strongest, or if one of the strongest.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill doesn't count. And then he also is so fast. Like he's a physical freak. Someone said that he's going to be the next TO. Hold on, guys. We'll be right back.
All right, we're going to take a short break.
Sorry, we're back, guys. But no, DK Metcalf is just. I said decaf like decaf coffee. DK Metcalf. I mean, I don't know how he wasn't the first receiver. Justin Jefferson was taking over him.
Justin Jefferson was taking over him. Old boy out Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry
taking
Jeudy,
over
CeeDee
him.
Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb.
And
I mean,
see-
you have to, and that's what brings me back to. I don't mean to keep harping on the Saints, but the Saints had a shot to take decaf with that pick there, or they could have gone defense.
You
and
said
gone-
decaf too.
decaf. You're spreading it around. DK Metcalf, excuse me. They could have taken him there instead of going with Ruiz. Which Ruiz isn't a bad player. I think he's more of a role guy. I don't think he's going to change our team. But
I disagree.
That's fine. But I say right now Devontae Adams is the best in the league. I mean, he has just been demolishing whoever they have put up in front of
And
him.
Aaron Rodgers is on a revenge tour. He's going scorched
Oh, yeah,
earth
I
like
don't
I said he
disagree.
would. That's why I picked him in every single one of my fantasy leagues.
I don't disagree.
Oh.
I mean, you go ahead and a guy who's a Hall of Famer. This would be like Drew Brees 4 or 5 years ago. If we go take a quarterback first round, I mean, the organization can say what they want, but it's a slap in the face.
Absolutely.
It's disrespectful.
Absolutely. I'm gonna skip over some games like Philadelphia at New York. I mean, that's just a joke of a game. I don't think even the fans are gonna be watching that one.
One of the worst divisions in football.
The worst division in football history. There's a very good chance that a 5-win team gets into the playoffs, wins the division, not just gets in the playoffs, wins the
Insane.
division. NFC South matchup: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers.
Big game there. It's important. Carolina needs to win that game in order to kind of stay in the race. What are they sitting at right now?
They are sitting at Tampa Bay -6.
The record. What's Tampa Bay's record?
Tampa Bay is 6-3, and Carolina is 3-6. But McCaffrey's out again.
Yeah, McCaffrey being out again. I mean, no offense, Carolina. I love Mr. Joe Brady, but Carolina's going to need Christian in there to be effective.
Something like what Carolina did last year, a pickup they got, which looking back at it, I really wish the Saints would have done, is Robbie Anderson.
Yeah,
Robbie Anderson is showing
that was
out.
this offseason.
That was this offseason.
This offseason.
And I don't think he got paid that much.
And he's been super effective in that role. He has been for all the people who watch LSU play last year. He's been the Justin Jefferson of that role. He's played of that team. He's been the slot receiver guy who's going out, running short intermediate routes and just getting the ball and getting down the field. Really, what Justin Jefferson was effective with last year. And then they have a guy on the outside. His name's DJ Moore.
Yeah,
Who's
DJ
more
Moore's
of
really
that
good.
Jamar Chase type of guy who's beating people down the field for big routes.
Next game, going to be an interesting one is that we want to talk about is the Chargers at Miami.
Well, backtrack. Who would you take in the Carolina Tampa game?
I have to take Tampa.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Tampa also.
I don't like Tom Brady, but you don't bet against Tom Brady after a loss like that.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I mean, the talent that they have on that defense, I think they kind of had an off week last week against the Saints. I think the defense bounces back strong and puts in a good performance. I know Levante David's a little banged up for them after the Saints game, but no offense, they have one of the best linebacking groups in the NFL.
Yeah,
They're
not the best.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. All right, but moving on, who we got next?
Los Angeles Chargers versus the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Two really good young quarterback matchups to watch there. That's a good game to watch.
Probably the rookie of the year.
We'll get to that later. But I would say I want to take Miami in that game. I think Miami's red hot right now. I think if Tua can keep his progress going, I think this is definitely a dub for Miami. I think the Chargers, they're turning into the new Atlanta Falcons. I mean, every
It's awful.
week they're
It's
losing
awful. I mean, they
games.
did it against the Saints.
What are they, 1-6?
They're 2-6.
2-6? Yeah, I mean, they're just not producing.
The line is Dolphins -1.5.
Yeah, so that's a pick 'em. So who do you got in that one?
I'd like to say the Chargers. I just have a weird
Really?
feeling. I feel like they finally
Are they playing
get a
in
win.
Miami or
It's in Miami.
Not that really matters with COVID,
Next one. This is going to be a really good game. Buffalo at Arizona.
but Buffalo at Arizona. I'm a big Josh Allen fan.
Me too.
So
Me too.
In that, I'm going to go with them. I think they also have a really good defense this year. I don't think they've shown up a lot, but they have a really good defense in my opinion. Tre'Davious White obviously is locked down. Really solid secondary on that team. I think they could do some things this year. They can honestly protect Josh Allen. I mean, they played well last year. They lost to Houston, I believe, in the playoffs, or they beat them in overtime. I can't remember 100%. But, yeah, that's a good young team, but I'll take Buffalo in that one.
Josh Allen reminds me a lot of a Big Ben, but with so much more mobility. He's just a huge. He's like
That arm is just so strong.
Oh my god! I mean, it's stronger than it's stronger than Patrick's almost.
Really?
Yeah.
Has that been wow?
At least Madden says so.
We
But
know how
no,
that
I mean,
goes.
you look at Patrick and Josh Allen, and those are Patrick Mahomes, obviously. Those are obviously no debate the two strongest arms in the league. And I think Josh Allen's a guy that's going to succeed for a really long time. You know, you look at a guy like Kyler, you look at a guy like Lamar, who a lot of their production relies on how mobile they are. That's not going to be there forever. You know, you look at how much Cam Newton struggled.
Yeah, well, you look at, and I called it last year. I mean, Lamar lit the league up last year, but he's not doing very well passing the ball this year. I mean, I watched him play last week actually, and he was just throwing some duck balls. I mean,
at the end of the day, the quarterbacks throw the ball. Having mobility as a quarterback is great, especially in today's league. It's great. It's a big luxury that you can have, but you're not going to be able to always be able to rely on that. Your legs are going to go before your arm does.
That's why I think Patrick Mahomes, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, is going to be one of the most successful guys out of this era. Is just he's quick. He's not a guy like Lamar who's going to kill you down the field, but he's not. He's not Tom Brady. He can get out of that pocket
exactly.
and
Get you
5, 6 yards, and then he can also. I mean, we've all seen what he can do.
Patrick Mahomes is. If you were to just look, and this may sound crazy, if you were to just look at one season of every quarterback who's ever played, you put Patrick Mahomes that's the only. You'd show someone that's never watched football one season of every quarterback that's ever played. They're putting Patrick Mahomes in their top 5. I mean, the kid's unreal.
No doubt.
If the kid keeps it up, he's going to be a top 3 quarterback of all time.
Welcome back, Cameron.
Yeah, welcome back, Cameron. Sorry.
I was fixing some of the cameras.
You look at what the kid can do. I mean, we all said after his MVP year, we're like, there's no way that he keeps this up. I mean, there's no way. And honestly, like
certain individuals told me that he couldn't.
Did I?
No, a certain other someone.
Oh.
Me?
No.
And
so you look at a guy like that, and I mean, obviously they all say you can't keep it up, but that's what makes someone an all-time great is that they're able to, and he could be the guy that does it. He's doing it again.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. They're on a bye this week, I believe, right?
Yes, they're on a bye. But I mean, he's honestly
which hurts me deeply.
We're gonna
fantasy.
We're gonna talk about it later. We talk about kind of the awards that are going on this year. But I mean, I think he's the leader for the MVP again. This be his second one.
Why wouldn't he?
I mean, but to get your second MVP before you turn 30 is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's him or Kamara's in the conversation. I don't think he's necessarily going to win it because
it's a quarterback
award. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So any other games coming up?
Here's an interesting line: Seattle at the Rams. Rams -2.
I mean, I think I'm going to take Seattle big in that game. I know they don't have much of a run game with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde being out, but I mean, I believe they've dropped 2 over their last 3. But
wait, Carson's out again?
Carson's out again.
He's doubtful. I feel like whenever they say doubtful, it's just like, hey, we're trying to play you.
They play in that
DJ Dallas.
DJ Dallas, yeah.
And Alex Collins.
Alex Collins was a monster in Baltimore.
Wait, did they just sign Collins?
Yeah, they just picked him up.
So if you want my honest opinion, I think he gets majority of the snaps.
Because
he didn't get any last week. It was all DJ Dallas.
Was it?
I had him in fantasy. He was selling.
2 weekends ago, 3 weekends ago, DJ Dallas started because
Carlos Hyde.
Carson and other boy was out.
Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, Hyde. I keep forgetting Hyde's on that team. But DJ Dallas put up like 16, 17 points of fantasy. He had 18 carries for like 60-something yards and a touchdown. And I was like, okay, that's not that bad.
Yeah,
but to answer your question, give me the Seahawks.
Yes.
Seahawks.
Man,
Seahawks
Russell Wilson just slice his name off that MVP race after those past 2 games he had. Russell Wilson was the leader. Like if you were in Vegas, he was the Vegas odds leader to win MVP, and now he's not even top 5.
I know. It's crazy.
The last game we're going to talk about is mainly because y'all are LSU fans. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati at Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, I got to be unbiased as I can against this. Obviously, you can't pick against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you can't pick against Pittsburgh.
They're the hottest team in the league right now, undefeated still.
You look at any power rankings, nobody has the Steelers number 1.
Well, I think they say they're smoking crack. I mean, when the team's undefeated, what are they, 8-0?
They're 8-0, but who have they played?
I don't know. I have to go down the schedule.
And
any team that's won 8 games in a row in the National Football League.
I agree.
You have to at least be in the top 5.
They did show some weakness last week. They almost lost to the Cowboys, who are absolute last.
Their defense is elite.
Yes.
I mean, they are.
I've been high on Devin Bush since he came out of the league.
Well, not even that. You look at the way. I don't know if you've seen Minka Fitzpatrick. He's playing out of his mind.
That was an amazing trade for them.
TJ Watt.
That was a steal for them.
Who did they give up for Minka?
It was a ridiculous trade. It was like I think 1 first rounder or something.
Yeah,
it was.
I don't even think it was that. I don't think they gave.
Yeah, they gave him. Miami gave him away.
And that's kind of the all we're going to talk about for Week 10. Next thing we're going to talk about, kind of staying on the football thing, is the midseason awards. Every team has played at least 8 games, so we're literally in the middle of the season right now, as middle as you can get. So MVP is tough. I don't think you can give it to – Taylor was talking about this earlier. I don't think you can give it to anybody right now. It's too close. You got guys like Josh Allen. You got guys like Patrick Mahomes. And then if you honestly want to look unbiasedly and look at it as who is the most valuable player to a team, I'm a little biased, but, I mean, you have to put Alvin Kamara in that conversation.
Without a doubt.
Without Alvin Kamara, I think we don't have a winning record.
No, not. You cannot win with. great running back, but you cannot win without with just Latavius Murray. You can't.
No, just
you
because
sit
he
there
does
and
so
look.
much.
Yeah, you sit there and look at. I mean, there's been 4 to 5 times easy this season where we've run a dump off pass where it's supposed to be -5 yards in the backfield on a third down,
like what he did
Kamara,
against Green Bay.
and he'll take it for 30 yards.
Yeah.
It just,
that
I mean,
run against that run
insane.
he had against Green Bay was one of the most ridiculous runs I've
You want
ever
to know
seen.
what
crazy.
was one of my favorite runs he ever had? I think it was against Seattle. We was watching it at the Pike House, and it was a dump off pass, and he shook off like five,
His
six.
balance
I still
is
remember.
insane.
I
And
still remember.
He ran down the sideline.
I still remember.
and dove.
Taylor and I, we had a like a little party at the fraternity house, and I had gotten a concussion, and we were down. It was the game where we were down big to at the time the Redskins, and I told him I was like, I'm not leaving. And then Alvin Kamara, we had scored the touchdown, and then Alvin Kamara, we threw that pass to him for the 2-point conversion. He gets it, bobbles it as he's getting hit. Catches his bobble, slips through
remember
2
that.
tackles, and scores a 2-point conversion to
Yep,
tie the
I
game.
do remember that.
Oh, I mean, he's just
I
unreal.
believe we lost that game.
No, we won.
We came back.
Yeah. We came back and won. We sent it to overtime and we won. But no, things like that. I mean, his balance is unreal. You've seen the video. Like, I've never seen a guy with that much balance. The way he's able to break off tackles and things like that. And people say, from what I've seen other NFL players talk about him, is they say that he is one of the most almost like they say he's almost like a catfish. Like, he doesn't really look what he seems like. They say he is so much bigger than what he seems. Because people think he's kind of a small guy.
Yeah.
But he's 6'1".
So who would just going off talking about the games and who would be y'all's picks to? I know we obviously have a long way to go in the year. Who would be y'all's picks to make it to the conference? I mean, the division championships, and then I don't know why I said that. The conference championships, and then the Super Bowl. Who would be
I think it's
y'all's
gonna be
two
Saints.
teams?
I think it's gonna be Saints Packers.
Saints in the
Okay,
NFC.
in the NFC, I think it's gonna be
Who you
Saints.
got in the AFC?
I think it's gonna be Chiefs and Steelers.
Yeah, I would say Chiefs, Steelers. Honestly, it depends on how the seeding goes. I could see an NFC South matchup, and I could see Buccaneers Saints in the NFC
Now, you
Championship.
see, sorry to stop you, but
No, go ahead.
I disagree with the Steelers. If they play like they did against the Cowboys last week, no way they're getting to the championship.
Yeah, I'd say it's Chiefs are a lock. I'd put the Chiefs at the lock
Yeah.
unless they choke. And then I wouldn't be. If I had to bet money, I'd bet $50 on the Steelers making. I'd bet $50 on the Bills making it.
Now, I
Bills
can
could-
see, like, if the Steelers do make it to the AFC Championship, I don't see them beating the Chiefs.
No, I think the Chiefs beat them.
It's honestly, they're going to go as far as Ben Roethlisberger can take them.
Absolutely.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know
Absolutely.
if y'all watched him play recently. He does not move. He just stands there. He's snapping it, and he's throwing that baby.
That's what
in
happens when you
as
got a
far
good
as
O
he
line and
can.
some pretty good
They have one
receivers.
of
Pretty
the
good.
best.
They have.
I love
Yeah.
Chase Claypool.
I was about to say, I think we're all about to
love
talk about
that
this.
man.
I mean,
that
he's
dude is
on.
a baller.
He's unreal. The
They
amount
have
of
one of the best receiving cores in
Him
the
and
league
Juju-
right now.
the
And
amount of-
Deontay Johnson's good too.
the amount of talent at the wide receiver position that's come out of this past draft is unreal.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have Jerry.
Deep.
You have guys that even like haven't lit it up. You know they're gonna be so like Jerry.
Not
Jeudy's-
as good as Justin Jefferson, but that's besides
I'd take DK Metcalf over Justin Jefferson.
number
right
one
now.
stats.
Anyway.
I
One of them's gonna be a
I'd
Pro Bowler.
crave for Justin Jefferson to be on the Saints right now.
Justin-
if Breeze
I
had
think we
Justin
need
Jefferson,
more receivers, but,
But listen, anyway,
Well,
but you have
I'm-
people like
we're getting off
way
stats. Let's
off.
get back to what we're talking
CD
about.
Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, guys like Chase Claypool who kind of came out of nowhere.
Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown,
Second year.
That's Marquise Brown's his second year.
DK,
Hollywood.
This is DK's second year too. You said DK. I thought we
You're
were
right.
just talking about good young.
Yeah, good. You're right. The future of the wide receiver position is in very good hands. And then Michael Thomas is still really young.
You got a lot of guys coming up in the next class
yeah,
too. The wide
D Hop is
receivers.
coming up. Is Terrace Marshall in this year's
Terrence
draft?
Marshall's going to
Terrace
go
Marshall's
on.
in this year's
Terrace,
draft.
Jamar Chase.
Seth Williams.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big.
A
time
lot
talent
of big
coming out.
names. With
Devontae Smith out of
yeah.
Alabama.
With talking about the NFC Championship, I would be more inclined to pick the Saints to go to the Super Bowl in the NFC Championship, like win the NFC Championship if we're playing Tampa. If we play Tampa, I think we beat them. If we play Green Bay, I think it's very close, and I'm not ready to make a prediction yet.
I just don't know. I mean, we watched how our defense played against Green Bay. I know that the Saints every year take a long time to get the motors rolling, take a few games to get going, and that was a lot harder this year with COVID and all that stuff. Didn't have a full preseason, all that stuff, so it took them a little while to get going. If the Saints can catch their groove like they seem like they're doing right now, I think they're the favorite to make it to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm being as unbiased as I can. I don't think they win the Super Bowl right now.
I don't think either.
Kansas City repeats right now. They're just too hot. And with Kansas City, the thing is, not only Did they take the guys they had last year? They got better.
Yep.
I mean, let's
Le'Veon Bell.
look at the running back room. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Le'Veon Bell. It just goes on, and they have all the guys they had last year.
Yep.
I mean, it's
I don't
crazy.
know. I don't understand how they were able to pay all those guys. I mean, when you look at that team.
I think Le'Veon's getting paid most of his money by New York.
But
Yeah.
I mean, they paid Travis Kelce. They paid Patrick Mahomes. They paid Patrick.
That D lineman, I forget his name. Their D tackle. I forget his name, but
I got a question. Why do y'all think the Chiefs picked up Le'Veon? I know it's Le'Veon. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Say fuck you to the rest of the NFL.
I think it's more of a safety net than anything. I think if Clyde goes down, you got another guy in there.
I guess, but I mean,
step in.
Clyde was producing pretty well. I mean, they weren't running him as much as I thought they would.
They have a stacked running back room.
They do.
I mean, they have.
I'll put it this way,
Damian Williams.
Cam,
Yeah.
look what the Saints do. We have arguably the best running back in the NFL. Maybe give it to McCaffrey, or maybe we'll have Dalvin Cook's playing right now. But Kamara's in that conversation. But we still went and picked up Latavius Murray, and Latavius Murray gets a lot of snaps. It's not like he's just a safety net.
But I think what Cam's saying is there's a difference in Latavius Murray and Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is a Pro Bowler multiple times, and just such a weird exit with him in New York. Nobody still to this day knows what happened. He plays one day, and then all of a sudden on a Monday, hey man, you're cut.
Yeah, I don't get it. But here's the thing:
there.
I'm pretty sure they're not paying him really anything. I could be wrong, but they're not paying him much.
The
The Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't think they're paying
I
him
thought
much.
it was like $20 million.
No, the Jets are paying a
No,
lot
the
of that.
Jets basically paid him to say, hey,
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So I'm
Play for
saying,
someone
Cameron,
else.
if you had the option, if the Saints right now, if you had the option to pick up Le'Veon Bell for what Latavius Murray's making, wouldn't you?
Of course.
So I mean, it's kind of the same
It was
logic.
it's a no-brainer.
No, I get that. I'm not saying it was a bad move by the Chiefs. I'm saying that I guess it's more of I feel bad for Clyde because I wanted
didn't
him to have
affect him.
It didn't affect him at all.
I mean,
He only
he's getting
played-
a lot less touches.
He only got 10 snaps last game.
He was getting like
Hey man,
18.
if he
No,
has
Le'Veon.
if he has
Le'Veon
a
only got 10 snaps.
Cameron,
but Clyde only got
Clyde
9.
needs to come out every once in a while. He can't play every play.
Cameron, if he has a fucking Super Bowl ring getting touches on his hand his rookie year, I'm pretty sure he'll be okay with it.
You're right.
Clyde's been playing like a monster. He's the best rookie
I'm
running
not
back in
saying
the league.
He's not. He's not producing.
Okay,
as well.
so getting
Have you not watched him play?
No, I'm talking about for fantasy. He's not producing.
I don't care about fantasy. He's been
I'm
grinding
not
on the
saying
field.
he's not producing.
He fits that offense beautifully.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he does fit that offense beautifully. That was the best place for him to land. They got an absolute steal.
I agree there.
I think it was pretty cool on draft night. They said they called Patrick Mahomes and said, "Hey, we'll give you a choice of these 3 guys." And I don't remember the other 2, but they said, "Who do you want out of these 3 guys to be your new shiny running back?" And he said, "I want Clyde." That's pretty cool.
But it's an easy dub.
Hits his second year as a starter, and they're already giving him control of the draft room. I mean, it shows how much confidence.
Third year as a starter.
Third year as a starter. But no, getting back onto the awards.
I have no idea who your defensive player of the year is. I don't know for a minute.
I don't know either. I mean, did you just give it to Aaron Donald again?
Yeah, you could always chop it up to him.
Oh.
I know TJ Watt's been killing it. So I don't know who wins that award.
I really don't know.
That's a weird award every
You
year.
go like this one. I'm not saying he deserves Defensive Player of the Year, but Trey Hendrickson has been lighting it.
Trey Hendrickson is third.
Dude,
He's
lighting it.
If they were to have a Most Improved Player award, that man's in the
He's
conversation.
yes.
I mean, he's almost a lock for a Pro Bowl.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He's
When's
third in
the
the
last
league
time
for
you
sacks.
You can remember that one guy back to back to back sacks.
Yeah, it would have been a
One
hat
didn't
trick
count,
if-
obviously.
Yeah, one for the penalty.
But
yeah.
it's still counted in my book, and even on all the
said for the hat
medias and
trick,
everything,
yeah.
they counted it. They said, "Oh, he got that sack." Tom Brady probably wasn't even making that pass downfield when the holding call was called.
Well, then the question comes of who do you bring back next season? Are you bringing back Marcus Davenport and Trey Henderson? Or are you only bringing back one of them? Are you going to pay them both?
I only bring back Hendrickson.
I'd bring back Henderson.
Well, you just going to let a guy who you traded 2 first-round picks walk? I mean, you can't deny me that Marcus Davenport has been injury prone.
If you get him for the low, then you could probably bring them both back.
But Davenport, when he's in the game, is effective. He might not
correct.
produce
He gets-
the numbers,
He gets the
but he's
pressure on
getting to the quarterback.
I agree. I mean, if we can get one of them for a cheap deal, their contract expire this year.
I think one of them has a player option or a team option, one of the two, and the other one is up for a new contract.
you have to re-up. If it's Hendrickson, you have to re-up Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Marcus
I
Davenport.
think my answer to it would be you need to bring them both back.
I agree.
If you can. Now, this is all going to depend on if number 9 comes back or what happens with that in terms of salary cap, and we'll get into that a little later. But I don't know. My opinion would be bring them both back because you have Davenport who can go in there on first and second down, and then Henderson is your perfect third down guy. He's coming in fresh to get in there and get to the quarterback.
I agree. One thing that I know we're going to disagree on, at least y'all two are probably going to agree, and I'm going to disagree, is the offensive rookie of the year. I think right now it's Justin Herbert. I know y'all are probably going to say Joe Burrow.
Correct.
But
I mean,
Justin Herbert has played one less game than Joe Burrow.
Half a game.
He only has 100 less yards. They have the same number of interceptions, and Justin Herbert has 7 more touchdowns. So I don't see how you can give it to Joe Burrow when
I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
And only one win difference.
Let me interrupt just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
My thing is this. Let's compare the offensive line of each team. You have to take all this into account. Understand that Joe Burrow and Herbert, they're both right next to each other, are putting up the best numbers of a rookie quarterback in like the last decade.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, the offensive line for that team and just the talent on offensive line, offense alone for both teams is just the Chargers have a lot more talent.
I agree, but if you go off the eye test and you look at the two play, Justin Herbert looks like Joe Burrow looks incredible. Joe Burrow is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league for a very long time. I agree with that. But you look at when you watch the Saints game, when you looked at what Justin Herbert did. Justin Herbert gave the Saints problems. You look at what he's doing, he looks like he's been in the league for 5 years. I mean, he is
Why isn't he winning games though?
I mean, why isn't Joe Burrow winning games?
He's won more than Justin.
How many games have the Bengals won?
2. 2.
2. So did the Chargers.
Well, Justin only won 1.
Okay,
Tyrod won.
Okay, but let's be honest here.
But
the Chargers are a lot more stacked.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even on defense,
yes,
they have
but you
better
realize
players.
that it's not on Justin when they're blowing these leads. It's not Justin blowing the leads.
I think we're having an argument that really you could go either side on though, because they're both really good.
Yeah, I just say you just got to look at the numbers. I understand that you have to take stuff into consideration, but
my man Joe is running for his absolute life. That's all I know. I pray Cleveland can protect my man. All right. I mean, it's absolutely
Cleveland.
Yeah.
I can't even remember their goddamn name. The other team in Ohio.
Okay. I guess I don't. You know what? Speaking of defensive rookie of the year, I have not heard. You know whose name I have not heard? Chase Young. I have not heard.
Done a goddamn thing.
I haven't heard his
he's
name
gonna
in
get
forever.
Defensive Player of the Year, and he played in purple and gold last year, and now he's playing in purple and black.
Patrick Queen.
That's correct.
Yes, I agree with that.
And he strip sacked his old teammate and took it to the house.
Who, Joe?
Yeah,
I don't know if he took it
remember
to the
that.
house, but he stripped him.
Dude, that was a social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
All over.
Kind of talking about the young guys. Kind of transition. I know it's a little bit ways away, but we can kind of talk about the NFL draft a little bit. Kind of who you like, who you don't like, who do you think's overrated, who do you think might rise up. We all know Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. No matter who the team is, Trevor Lawrence is going number 1.
Disagree. I think Trevor Lawrence, especially since he got the COVID now, I don't think Clemson is gonna. I don't think Clemson is going to make it into the playoff. The thing is, they're going to end up playing Notre Dame again if Notre Dame wins out and Clemson wins out. They'll play Notre Dame again, and I think Clemson will beat them the second time with Trevor. So I say they're both going to be in the college football playoff. I don't think Clemson's going to win it all this year. I think we all kind of agree.
Alabama's going to steamroll everybody.
But I think Trevor, if the Jets are sitting there at the number 1 pick, I think Trevor goes back to college and tries and wins another natty.
Really, you think he stays?
I don't think Alabama will be as good next year, and I think there'll be a lot of other teams that are going to be competitive with a full season next year. So I think Trevor highly considers going back to school and playing one more year.
If Trevor stays in the draft, he's the number 1 pick.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
if you saw the engagement ring he bought his girlfriend, he needs a check.
Unless for some reason the team picking 1 doesn't need a quarterback. But
I saw if for some reason the Jets decide that Sam Darnold, they want to stick with him, I see them going with Jamar Chase
at the number 1 pick.
I do.
No, they'll pick somebody defensively. No, I don't think wide receivers ever.
I haven't seen a wide receiver go top 3 in forever.
I mean, I know it's kind of out. It's kind of an out there prediction, but I've seen a lot.
People are debating if he's even the number 1 wide receiver right now.
I've seen a lot of Jets fans coming out and saying well, the only reason they're debating that is because he didn't play this year. If he played this year, he's still balling out. LSU probably wins a couple more games.
So you're telling me
he doesn't beat Auburn, but
you're telling me that the Jets would rather
lost by 38.
You're telling me that the Jets would rather pick a wide receiver who skipped his final season in college over star quarterback like
I'm saying
Trevor Lawrence.
what
if
I'm
he goes.
saying is
I think they would trade that. If
what
they
I'm
pick
saying
a
is
quarterback. They would
if
pick a
I agree with
quarterback.
that, they'd probably trade it. I'm saying if they do pick, what I'm saying is that, and this is honestly, this is not what I think they should do. This is not what I think they will do. I'm saying what I should have prefaced this. I'm saying this is what I see a lot of Jets fans wanting.
Yeah, like they care about what their organization.
Yeah,
But
but
if they for some reason think that Sam Darnold's the guy, and Sam Darnold is not a bad quarterback. He's not great, but he's not
He's not
bad.
the guy,
But
though.
you
A
talk about
lot of talk about him maybe coming down to New Orleans when Mr. Drew leaves.
But you talk about Joe Burrow not being surrounded by anybody. Look at who the Jets have. Like,
oh yeah, he doesn't have talent either.
Crowder isn't a bad.
That's
receiver.
one guy. Joe Burrow's got more talent than that offense.
I mean, the Jet and their defense is bad too. I mean, the entire team is terrible, absolutely terrible.
No,
And,
and
I mean, you
they're
go
bad.
look. You go look. I saw a clip the other day of Sam Darnold making some throw on the run that was absolutely ridiculous. You don't make that throw by luck or by chance. Like it was a
You're right,
good
you're right.
throw. And
I don't necessarily know if Sam's the guy.
I don't know if Sam's the guy, but I'm saying I don't think he's the reason that they're.
That organization's pretty
0-8.
bad, though. I mean, they hired Adam Gase.
Yeah.
Say it all right there. The guy, I mean, unsuccessful in Miami. And now Miami's pretty dang good.
Yeah. Brian Flores has done really well for Miami.
So, I don't know. But
There's a lot of talk going up with that team. That team has both the Jets, both the Bengals, and the Chargers. All three of those teams have a lot to work on. and
Another
a lot of
another big name quarterback coming out. So let me ask you this: if Trevor does decide to say, and the Jets still say they want to take a quarterback, do they take Justin Fields?
they take Justin Fields or
But your boy from BYU.
or the boy from North Dakota State, Trey Lance.
They have right now. They have Justin Fields is the third best player. They have
Number 2.
Penny Sewell, that offensive tackle for Oregon.
Yeah, see, I mean, I could see him going number 1 over a wide receiver.
Yeah,
I think the biggest talk of this draft is going to be your Hall of Fame quarterbacks. It's going to be Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. Are they all staying? Are they all coming back? That's really what's going to come down to, because you might have 3 potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks retiring. I don't see Tom Brady retiring. I think he's
either.
definitely going to give it 2 years at least in Tampa Bay. I think 100% if Drew Brees wins the Super Bowl, he retires. I don't see
agree.
the Saints winning it all this year. I definitely hope they do, but I don't see them winning it all. I think Drew probably hangs it up this year. That's just me guessing. I don't think anyone
Sad
knows.
times.
But
didn't-
I think the Saints go after a quarterback in the first or second round this year, and I really like Zach Wilson out of BYU for the Saints.
Trey Lance is the kid
Yes.
from North Dakota State.
That's why I said Trey Lance.
Zach
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
He's one of my guys for the.
Hey
for the
man,
Heisman.
we
Wilson
already have
winning
one
contest.
quarterback from BYU. Okay, let's talk about this. So, do you not think Taysom is the guy?
No.
Uh,
I've been saying this. I do not think he is. He's a great guy. He's a great quarterback, great football
Whether
player.
he is, whether he can be or not, I feel like the Saints have definitely already made up their mind. The Saints have already made up their mind that Taysom is not the future of the quarterback position. Because if he was,
But
he
they've
would
said
not
he
be.
is.
I don't.
he-
But yeah, Cameron's right.
I mean, I feel like it's a smokescreen. I feel like that's giving Taysom
I
a
don't
little
think they
bit.
know.
I don't think they know, but I
Honestly,
feel like
yeah.
they have a little bit of doubt if they're willing
But-
to put him in those situations where he's running the ball
But
like
then
that.
why are they not going out and getting someone else? I mean, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been saying, hey, they got to go get a guy. They got to go get a guy. They need somebody to sit behind Drew. And I think all 3 of us can agree. Jameis Winston is
Remember
not
what
that
we
guy.
did
Absolutely
with
not. He's
what's
not
your
the
boy
guy.
from
Garrett Grayson.
Grayson?
He
Yeah.
gone.
Grayson, what's his name? Gilbert?
Grayson Gilbert. Yeah, Grayson
No,
Gilbert.
Wasn't it Garrett Grayson?
Garrett Grayson. Garrett
Was
Grayson.
it Grayson Gilbert?
It was Garrett Grayson out
Garrett.
of.
It was
Colorado
Garrett.
State.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Colorado
I'm thinking it was Gilbert, but yeah, it was Garrett Grayson. We wasted a second round pick on that.
No,
man.
it was a little. I think it was. a
No,
little
it
later.
was second. It was a second round pick.
Look that up.
So the I'm gonna look at this right now. Oh, you got to talk about Mac Jones also coming out possibly.
Nah, I think Mac will be a later first or
Yeah,
second.
he's 48. So
He'll
the,
go to somebody.
the big board right now for
Different.
quarterbacks, if the Saints do decide to take a look at that position, is obviously Trevor.
I think Saints are going to go for Zach Wilson. I think
Trevor
Zach
and
Wilson's the
Justin
guy.
are 1 and 2, 1 and then 2, and then you got Trey Lance and Zach Wilson is ranked at 20.
All I know is whoever does come in, they certainly are not going to be like my man Joe Burrow. They're going to have an offensive line. We
Yeah.
hypothetically have the best offensive line in football.
You see, this is what I actually thought was going to happen once we drafted this kid. So when we drafted Tommy Stevens, I know he was a 7th round guy, but I thought he was going to come in to be the new Taysom, and Taysom was going to take over
Yeah.
once Drew
They
Brees
can't.
left.
But here's
I
the
could
thing
see
about
that.
that: you cannot go out and obviously I'm sounding a little biased here, but you cannot go out and draft a Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, I don't think you're ever going to see a
Correct.
player in the league like that.
But
You are never. There is
He-
never going to be another game after Taysom Hill retires where a white 30-year-old Mormon is the most athletic player in the stadium. That's never going to happen again.
No, I completely agree. I think, in my opinion, I agree with what you're saying. The Saints have probably made up their mind, and I think Taysom is 100% way more effective than what he does now. He can come in, give you 4 or 5 snaps a game at quarterback. He can give you 4 or 5 snaps at wide receiver, tight end, running back. If you're depleted at the running back position, you put him out there.
Fucking linebacker if
And,
you need it.
I mean, if you need it, put him out there.
Dude,
But-
he's built like a linebacker too.
I mean,
I've
and
always said
when
that he could play
you tell me a
linebacker.
time you ever saw a quarterback on the punt team? I mean, kickoff return team, punt team. I mean,
And he took
He-
out
not
some
only is
punts.
he not only was he
And-
running punt kickoff return team, he was returning kicks
Right.
when we received, and when we kicked, he was going down and making the tackle.
insane. And there's been several games where we needed a game-changing play, and who's the guy down there blocking a kick or blocking a punt?
Taysom
or even receiving them
Unbelievable.
against the Browns. Remember?
Yep.
Oh.
One of it, and that's why I trust. And I know a lot of people have hard feelings about the way the Saints draft and this and that. And me myself, I've griped against when they pick Cesar Ruiz first round. I trust in what they want to do. They've shown me in the past they go get the guys.
Cesar
they need
Ruiz.
to
The thing
win.
about Cesar Ruiz, obviously, it wasn't our biggest need, but I saw somewhere. I might want to fact check this, but he has played every single snap, almost every single snap, and every single snap he's played, at least above 90%. He's not given up a single sack or penalty yet this season.
I mean, to be honest, it can't be that difficult on him with the guys he's got around him.
Yeah, Ryan.
I mean, he's got 4 potential Pro Bowlers around.
I
him,
mean,
unless
we've got
except for maybe Pete.
we've got. I'd be hard pressed to find a better pair of tackles in the league than Ramczyk and Armstead.
Oh, that's. I mean, they're the top 2 pair together, 100%.
Absolutely,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying.
they say Armstead is the best pass blocker tackle, and then Ramchek's the best run block tackle. So I mean, doesn't get any better than that. And then you have McCoy, who great pick by the Saints in the second round, who has come on.
Run to
super
the right,
strong.
pass to the left.
Yeah. The Saints kind of do that actually.
Yeah, exactly. And then
But no, I think the Saints stick with Taysom at his role, and I'm hoping this year. I mean, I think this has got to be the year, unless they're going to go get a guy like a Sam Darnold, who the Jets have moved on from, a guy like that who they want to maybe give a couple years and see if he can go in there and be the guy, and they stick with Taysom at his spot, or they go draft Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, one of those guys. Now, I'm really hoping Drew Brees sticks around for a year, but
Me
I
too.
still think you need to pick a quarterback. Have him
I agree.
sit
I mean,
behind
look what
Drew for
the
a
Packers
year.
already picked one. They picked their
smart.
future.
Smart,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's definitely a slap in
It's
the
gonna
face.
it's gonna be very
But
different.
smart.
It's gonna be very different for us watching because us as Saints fans have been so spoiled for the past 14, 15 years. We've had the exact same head coach. And
Yeah,
the
we're
exact
not
same
going to be
quarterback.
good. When
No.
he leaves, we're going to have a couple down seasons.
Absolutely. For the past, I think, almost 15 years, we've had the same exact head coach and the same exact quarterback, and decent bit of success. We had those stretch of the 7-9 Saints, but we've been very spoiled, and it's kind of almost time for a reality check. And I think that we're gonna get that. I think that I don't know. Like I said, I really like Zach Wilson too. But you do have to look at a guy like Trey Lance. I don't think Trey Lance will be there when we pick. Looking at our record right now and how we're looking, I think we definitely make the playoffs, and I don't think Trey Lance is going to be there for a playoff team. Zach Wilson might be. It just depends on who trades up, how high they do on it, and what he does for the rest of the season. And talking about the rest of the season, for college football, obviously we know Alabama is going to be in the college football playoffs. They're going to be the number 1 seed. They're probably going to win it all.
They just look unstoppable.
They just look
right now.
unstoppable. They just look so much more prepared than everybody else. Everybody this season came out so unprepared with the whole COVID thing and how things were set up. And Alabama looked like they hadn't even had an off season. They just kept playing.
This is where the coach is making his money.
Yeah,
I mean, you go
absolutely.
with I
Absolutely.
mean, in my opinion, the greatest college coach of all time. Excuse me. I mean, this is where he's making his money. His team's coming in prepared every week, and they're just demolishing
Yes.
anybody they put in front of them.
Yes, and as 2 LSU fans and me myself as an Auburn fan, there's nobody that hates Nick Saban more than us. But we have to give props where props are due. Nick Saban is the greatest college coach of all time. I mean, the proof's in the pudding.
Correct.
But yeah, exactly. That's where he makes his money. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what's going to work. He can adapt on the fly. I mean, he's unstoppable.
So, who would be y'all's pick right now for the winner of the Heisman Trophy?
I give it to Mac Jones.
Right now, I'm gonna go with Zach Wilson. Looking at the stats, he's number one or tied for number 1 in every single stat. His team's 8-0, just like Mac Jones' team is, I believe, 6-0, I believe. So I mean, he'd be the guy I'd go with. I think I've watched him play, and I'll be honest, I never heard of this guy before the season started.
Neither did I.
I mean, he is the real deal. He is making some
Yep.
big time NFL throws. He is elusive in the pocket. I think he could definitely take the
Wait,
award.
who's that?
Zach Wilson
Zach
at BYU.
Wilson.
Yeah.
BYU dude.
He reminds me of Taysom Hill with running, but he can throw the ball.
Y'all realize Taysom Hill was in the Heisman conversation when he was in college?
No,
yeah, I
did
didn't
not
know that.
So
years down the
Taysom
road.
Hill was he played 3 or 4 years at BYU, and blessing in his which is honestly which gives me a little bit of like maybe the Saints are realizing this. Every single solitary season he played, he had a season-ending injury. He never made it through a full season at BYU, which is why he went undrafted. I think one injury he had where he had the muscle tear off his bone.
Who do you think's going to win Heisman? Cam.
I don't know. It's so everything surrounding COVID and everything. Guys coming out of the games because of COVID. Guys getting hurt.
I think Jamar Chase definitely had a shot at it if he stayed.
Jamar Chase definitely he would have been in the running.
Yeah, right. Have fun getting him the ball with 6 guys in the backfield to say hi.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like you could throw it up to that man and he's catching the ball.
We're not talking about LSU this game.
No.
We're still disappointed.
Yeah, we're not going to stay off LSU. But I mean,
Save them for next week.
It could be Trevor Lawrence. I think
Even with missing 2 games?
even with missing 2 games. I mean, he's so hyped up.
Yeah, but I mean, these people are paid, and this is what they do for a living to not try and buy into the hype. Obviously, they still look at it as just a quarterback award, just like the NFL MVP.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, yeah, if Trevor comes back and he balls out,
It's got to be, in my opinion, it's Mac Jones or it's
Mac
Zach
Jones.
Wilson.
Oh, I forgot about Mac Jones.
that was my pick. Was Mac Jones
playing well? I really thought like I mean obviously me being an LSU fan I'm a little biased. I thought like last season like this dude's gonna suck.
Oh, especially taking over after Tua.
And
Yeah.
especially taking. I was like you can't live up to Tua's hype. And then I was like damn, this kid's good. Like he's really good. And didn't Saban offer him a scholarship at like eighth grade?
Yeah, like no, I think he was 13. Yeah,
8th grade. Yeah.
yeah.
Eighth and 7th to 8th grade. 8th and 7th grade. He was offered a scholarship by Alabama. Think about getting a scholarship offer from Alabama at
Yeah, that's insane.
13 years old as
That's
a
insane.
quarterback.
And that's a kid
insane.
who's really, I mean, we don't talk about it a lot, but that's a kid who has really stayed the course. I mean, think about his recruitment process. He came in with one of the most hyped up quarterbacks in a long
Correct.
time in Tua, sat behind him for 2 years, sat behind Jalen Hurts. He's the same age as, I believe he came in the same time as Tua, if not he's a year older. And I mean, he stayed the course, sat there and just waited for his time. So, I mean, I might not like him all the times he plays for the Crimson and White, but I mean, he's certainly a good player.
I mean, you got to look at it like it's kind of like a Miles Brennan story. Then
I mean,
again,
I'll be honest with you, as unbiased fan, I would not compare the two.
I'm saying he stood.
No, I understand what you're
He
saying.
stood behind.
We're not talking about Miles Brennan. We'll get into an
He
argument.
stood behind Joe Burrow for 2 years because Miles Brennan was supposed to be our guy before Joe transferred.
Yep.
And Joe won the job, obviously. But he stood behind Joe, learned from him, learned from Joe Brady, and he developed his craft. But you can't do much with that craft if you don't have an.
And we talk about a guy
O-line.
who almost beat out a 5th-year senior in Danny Etling to win the job as a true freshman. but
Exactly.
he didn't. And it just, I know we don't want to dive fully into LSU this episode because we can rant on about that. But, I mean, when you talk about a guy who's caught some bad breaks, I mean, I was listening to him on the radio the other day. He's almost a guy who at the end of this season with the news coming out now that he's probably out the rest of the year. Do you think about maybe just transferring out? I mean, you've had just so much bad luck at LSU. I mean, sat on the bench for 3 years. This was supposed to be his time. Finally, he gets into that spot and, injured, not able to happen. And look, I know LSU lost some games. Offensively, he was lighting it up. I mean, he was top 3 in the SEC in every stat. But I don't know what direction he's going to go. It also depends on
Do you maybe go closer to home?
what direction TJ Finley does. He's from Louisiana, but
Miles Brennan's from Mississippi,
he's born in Louisiana.
but he's born and raised in Mississippi.
He's from Mississippi.
He was raised in Mississippi after the hurricane. Guys, come on, do your research.
I went to high school with him.
That's because it was after the hurricane.
But no, and the weird thing about Mac Jones, and the weird thing about honestly Alabama quarterbacks in general is, my dad really doesn't watch football, and he asked me one day, he's like, Parker, like all these Alabama quarterbacks, they win every game, they win the national championship, and then they don't get drafted, or they get drafted super late and they never start. Why is that? And since Broadway Joe Namath, when is the last time that a Alabama quarterback was a starter in the NFL? Besides like AJ McCarron, who started for a little bit.
McCarron,
But
he's more of like a true backup in the NFL.
AJ McCarron's a career backup. Tua is the first time in 50, 60 years that we have seen an Alabama quarterback come out and get drafted to be a starter.
And with the injury that he's had,
And I
too.
think the answer to that question is coaching. I mean, you have Nick Saban, who also goes out and hires the best possible guys.
I agree,
So
and I think the NFL execs realize that they're surrounded with so much talent. I think the NFL execs realize that every Alabama quarterback is going to be surrounded by the best talent in the entire country. So their numbers are going to be a little bit inflated or something like that.
Yeah, it all comes down to coaching. It's always coaching. I mean, look at now what's happening when we lose Brady, when we lose Arenado.
Joe. Who? Dave
Aranda, sorry. I always say Arenado.
Now he's Baylor's head coach. You know,
No,
Baylor.
I
No,
know
let me
that-
say one thing. Baylor is the team, and Matt Rule that screwed all this up for all LSU fans. Matt Rule had to decide, hey, let me go get hired by Carolina. Okay, Carolina, cool. I'll be your new head coach. Hey, Baylor, we're going to need a new head coach. Let's go snag Dave Aranda from LSU. Hey, Carolina, we probably could use a good offensive coordinator. Let's go snag the mastermind of
Joe Brady.
the LSU passing game, Joe Brady. And now LSU's just like, hey, we're going to have to replace 30-plus players, 2 different coaches. Okay, sounds good. Let's go do it. We'll see how that's going. But that's
Yeah,
a
we get
discussion for another
We
time.
get a guy that can't even connect with his own defense. Thanks, Arenado.
Bo. Aranda.
Aranda.
God damn it.
But no, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this NFL season plays out.
So who's your
because,
pick for the national championship? Go.
Alabama and
Bama
to win the national championship or be in it?
to win the Natty.
Bama.
Bam.
Well, we're all in agreement on that.
That's an easy one. I mean, it's not really a debate. It's
You know, it's not really a
Put it.
debate.
No, the only team that can beat them would be Auburn in the Iron Bowl, which I don't see that happening. But
Yeah,
that'd be
Iron
the only game where they
Bowl
can
is
win.
just always a close game.
Yep.
No matter
I
how
think
good
they
or bad the
steamroll
team
Georgia
is.
and they steamroll Florida in the SEC
Um,
championship.
it's like the Saints and the Falcons, the Iron Bowl. It's always close.
Even more than that. You know, the Iron Bowl used to have to be played until about 30, 40 years ago. It had to be played at neutral sites because people kept getting shot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but you have to think about in terms of Alabama. That is all these people have. They have
Yes.
no
That's
baseball
why-
team. They have no hockey team. They
Yes.
have no soccer.
That's why,
team.
like,
they have Alabama.
growing
and
up,
Auburn.
and like I know y'all are on the same wavelength as me because I've never had to argue this with y'all. Growing up an Auburn fan, as soon as Nick Saban went to Alabama, they would all the LSU fans that I went to high school with would always tell me that the LSU Alabama was a bigger rivalry than Auburn Alabama, and I would always tell them you are smoking rocks. I mean, it's
Smoking
LSU Alabama is a big rivalry, but I mean, in my personal opinion, granted I'm a little biased, the Iron Bowl is the biggest rivalry in college football.
Correct.
I mean, these teams hate each other. And
There's a lot of rivalries.
there's a
in that
lot of
conversation.
rivalries,
It's
like
definitely
Ohio
up there.
State,
but
Michigan,
that's
Army, Navy.
probably the
but
biggest.
Iron Bowl, I'd say Iron Bowl, Army, Navy, and Ohio State, Michigan are probably the three biggest.
You know, the Golden Boot used to be a really good rivalry, and
It's
then
really died down. But
It's-
yeah.
it's
what is that?
terrible
Tulane versus
now.
LSU.
No, that'd be the Golden Boot thing about that's Arkansas.
Arkansas, LSU, yeah.
Yeah.
Used to be a really cool looking trophy, but
You know, Georgia was our rivalry for the longest time.
that
Old
was
South's oldest.
Yeah, that's,
But yeah, I think it's time to go ahead and wrap up this podcast. We talked about a lot. We'll be back on this next week. It's going to be a Zoom, so it's going to be a little different. Go ahead, smash that like button. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, all the things that the podcast is going to be out on. SoundCloud as well. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about, especially with all these NBA trade goes down. Russell Westbrook will probably not be a Houston Rocket, so we're going to dive into that. And maybe we'll have an update on the Drew situation. But for now, that's all. Thanks,
later.
guys.
thank y'all guys.